I hope you're having a good day. What we got here is it's another black olive. This one is a Bucida Spinosa. I think some people call it the spiny black olive or whatever, but that's what Spinosa is. It's got more spines than the other one. The other one has spines, but a little bit more common and on every little tiny branch and corner on this. I've never had any wire on this tree. It does ramify really well on its own as far as getting very dense foliage on there and everything. I got it in March of 2020. It was in a rather large nursery container. I did a rather timid chop to it, which would have been way up here or whatever, but I did a rather timid chop to it, kind of left it for nearly a year, and then the next February I was kind of questioning like whether I wanted to leave it in just that nursery soil and everything. And I was going to pull it out of that container and kind of chop the container down a little bit and maybe take like half the roots out. And then the more I just kind of dug in there, I realized it didn't really have any roots at all. It was just like a really small cutting just kind of shoved into that huge pot, and the pot was really full of mulch. It wasn't even very good soil or anything. But I mean, I did buy that just from a plant sale where people do just sell things like cuttings and things like that or whatever. So I put it in here in this little container here. I have it sitting on the ground, actually right on top of landscape fabric. The roots do grow right through this container and into the landscape fabric. In May, I actually pulled it out and trimmed the roots off once. And I'm going to trim the roots today. I actually did pull it up today because the weeds all around it are kind of encroaching on it. I needed to kind of get it out of there so I could clean the weeds around it. I need to think about the positioning of it because it's just kind of crowding itself out with some of the plants that are around it and stuff. So I'm going to put it back in a little bit of a different place. And this also is just going to give me a chance to kind of clean those weeds all around it. Here is a look at the other side. And I'm going to prune these roots. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to really get that on camera or not. I'll try maybe at the end or something. I do plan on just setting it right back out there. There's a few weeds kind of coming up in here too. I'll pull some of those right now. Just while they're right here in front of me. I'm going to prune it, and as it kind of grows out there, sometimes, because it's on the ground, I don't really get that view of it like this. Right here, you can probably see it a little bit better from that other side again. But when I finally did decide to put it in this container, right here is that final chop scar. Still pretty big, still kind of ugly. I mean, I still got lots of time to try to grow it out. I had a couple of schools of thought in that I could take this branch off and I could make this one the new leader, of which, that would put a ton of movement into it, but that it would almost make it look kind of lopsided and might be kind of hard to get in a pot one day. I could take this off and then count on this being the new leader. I am going to do two things here real quick. I know these have grown out way too long, and also just before I even start doing any work, I did want to point out one more thing in that this has bloomed twice this year, and basically some of these blooms are out on the end, and there's just a couple of spots where you can see, because usually they bloom and then they kind of grow out a little bit, and there's only a couple spots where you can see where it bloomed and actually grew out. Everything else just like grew into these two shoots here. So I do want to I want to calm that down a little bit in that I want this to get wider and not necessarily all that much taller. Of course I'd like to grow that scar out. I feel like I got plenty of time for that though. And I do have some other just straight up things I want to cut out here. But first, I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to take the super long parts out. So I'm going to take that one. Try to show you a little more of what I was talking about here with the blooms. Here are some spent blooms. And like I said, it did bloom twice this year. Usually it blooms and then does a bunch of growing. And like right here, you guys can kind of see where here's where the bloom is, and then here's some new growth. But it didn't really get that much new growth other than out of those really two tall, the tall shoots there. And then right here and right here. And again, I'm just going to try to, so I got that straight up growth right there. I don't want that kind of growing in on itself too. And then I'm gonna, this is where that other really tall shoot was. I know I don't want this piece. I was thinking I might take off the whole branch and just leave this, because that one is actually coming right out of the chop scar there, and I could make that perhaps the new leader, and maybe also, you know, it's not coming right out of the chop scar, it's coming right next to it, but this one's coming kind of under it. I would like to try to, you know, get some kind of growth in there where it's going to help heal that up some. Here's some other straight up growth I can kind of get rid of there. That is where it got a lot of new growth, and then here's where it didn't. It just has the end there with the flower spikes, and never really did much after that. Just kind of staying here, trying to get a better view of what I'm doing. I know maybe I want to take that one off too. And then just as I look at it, I feel like either I should take this whole piece off or take that one off, which is now the tallest. So I think that's all the pruning I'm going to do. This piece, I guess I'll probably leave it. I mean, I guess it's filling in a void there. Maybe after I cut off that top branching, maybe it'll kind of branch out a little bit more. It does seem kind of long-ish, but again, just because I'm not cutting it off now doesn't mean I won't cut it off next year. Everything else just really seems like it did almost nothing but bloom and get maybe just like a little inch of growth off it. This piece is new. But I'm either going to take off this bigger piece or at least this smaller piece, one or the other. But let me get a better look at it from this side. I think I will leave the bigger piece on there and go ahead and take that one small piece coming out of the intersection there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, trim these roots off. I've had I used one of these. This is actually like something that a teacher would use, like a little basket to turn in homework or whatever. But it's got holes in the bottom, which gives it drainage and a little escape route for the roots. I have used one for a ficus. Turned out really well. I think this is going to turn out really well. Kind of my plan on maybe leaving it in there for another year. I mean, for sure, I'll check on it in February, you know, March. If it seems like, you know, it's just dying to come out of there, I will. It should get a nice growth spurt on it now, especially right after that pruning. It is, I should remind you guys that I live in Florida, and it is, we're still getting 90-degree days, and the lows haven't even started really getting below 75 yet. Just barely below 80 at night, so this thing has plenty of growth season left in it. But we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching.